And this is Tint Wisdom number 65, and I am joined with McCoy Hawkins today. McCoy,
I'm here. How's it going?
everything is peachy and keen. How's everything on your side of the country?
Yeah, we're still alive. This virus thing's been pretty crazy. We're opening our shop back up again next Thursday, so ready to get back to the grind along with other things. So,
And how was Thursday? Like you're reopening on Thursday. Was that because of like a city ordinance, or like did they instruct you that, or it's just like finally it's time, or what do you?
no, it was mostly my choice. So about a month and a half ago, we used Solar FX. Love them, by the way. Um, and I think they're in Kansas City, so I think they were forced to close at some point about a month or a month and a half ago. And so, we couldn't buy tint, so we couldn't sell it. I think shortly after, maybe it was only a couple weeks, I think they were able to open just on like a limited basis. So we could have reopened, but uh, I just chose to stay shut. And yeah, we're gonna reopen here coming this Thursday and get back to it. But yeah, it was just personal choice.
Gotcha. So, what are some things that you're doing leading up to that? Now you're in like I guess a couple day countdown. What have you been doing leading up to this, you think, in preparation or anything specific?
Um, so I made a post in my group, and we'll talk about the group more later. I have a marketing group, as some people may know. Um, uh, on my company's Facebook page, I actually posted that we're reopening Thursday,
Uh,
and
I
people
know the
just went
post you're
freaking
talking about.
bonkers. Yeah, it was crazy. I think we booked, I haven't counted today, but it was about 40 appointments within a few hours. Just one organic post, but um, that's because I have such a strong community on my company's Facebook page where people were just waiting for us to reopen. They wouldn't go to another shop because I think I'm one of the only shops that actually closed for an extended period of time. People were just waiting, and as soon as I posted that we're reopening Thursday, and I, posted the online schedule link, it just went freaking bonkers,
So
right? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
so I saw that post that you made in your group, and all the you screenshot
yeah,
all the appointments and everything. And my big
yeah.
question for you is, I want to talk about that group, um,
Mhm.
or one of the big questions is that group, because I'm trying to put it together in my head here. This is a group that is of consumers, and is it a local community group, or is it a group based around your company? Like, why did they join the group? I guess.
Are you talking about where I posted that we're reopening?
Yes, where you scheduled all the consumer appointments,
Hmm.
when you scheduled like that's that you posted into on your company page or into a group you've built up.
Right. Yeah, that's just the company Facebook page. Yeah,
Got it. I
just the
thought it
company
was
Facebook page. Yeah.
got it.
No, no,
So
no, no, no. I have the group for the marketing stuff.
okay, company Facebook page, you posted on there. To get such a response, especially from an organic post, you have to have very like well engaged people. Can you,
Right.
because you just don't get any reach unless people are really well engaged. If they're
It's like
constantly
1%.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So tell me more about what type of people have already liked your Facebook page, are well engaged enough to see your posts, and need tint and haven't either already had your services and need them again, or haven't had them yet. I imagine both ways, right?
Right. What type of people? I think I mean the type of person, and this is why targeting so important with ads is you can't just target like lawyers, for example. Like, anybody could use window tint or a detail cleaning or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the people who follow me religiously, or my company anyway, my shop, they follow us because it's just brand recognition. You know what I mean? Like 6+ years of just constant everyday Facebook ads, Facebook engaging posts, giveaways, and just building the brand. And that stuff takes time, but I think that's how we got to where we are now.
Okay, so you've been hitting it hard, just as a expression, hitting it hard on Facebook
Yes.
for
Yeah.
a
Oh yeah.
consistent 6 years.
Uh-huh. Yep. For
So
sure.
okay, that makes more sense, obviously, because if you're doing the right things over that long period of time, you're going to build up those results. So
Right.
the next question is, if what is what you've been doing look like compared to what the average shop who might consider themselves very active on Facebook? What are some of the differences you'd say between, if you can imagine the kind of shop I'm talking about? What I mean by that is
Right.
the kind of shop who posts maybe every day or every other day, maybe once or twice a day. They're posting pictures of the cars they're doing. They're talking about the film that they installed on it. That's
Hmm.
a big bulk of the window film industry and how they manage their Facebook
Right.
for that. What kind of things do you identify that you're doing differently? Because you're obviously having significantly different results.
So I see a lot of shops that I work with and ones that I don't work with. They'll Okay, so your Facebook page isn't going to get hardly any organic traffic unless it gets a lot of engagement.
Right.
So your posts on your page, your organic posts, need to be something that's going to get engagement. And if it's just a post saying, here's what we did to this car, call us when you're ready for tint, like that's kind of a sales pitch, right? You need to
Sure.
do stuff that's going to get engagement, like ask them a question. Like I was working with a client of mine a couple days ago, and I said, "Hey, let's post something that asks a question." Like I think the one we did was, "What was your first car?" or "What's your dream car?" Something like that, and that got hundreds of comments and engagement. That's stirring the community, is what I'll call it.
Okay.
So you want to keep the engagement up on your obviously you want to post things, if you tint a cool car or any car, post that too, but you want to keep stirring the community by asking engaging questions and posts like that. Now when you go into the ad side, that's a whole different thing. What I've noticed a lot of shops do, because it's pretty well known in the industry, like Facebook ads don't work. Okay, well, I've proven that wrong.
Yeah. Well, I
But
mean, that's one of those things like you can get somebody to say Home Advisor doesn't work, Facebook ads don't work, Google ads,
right,
Google ads
it's
by
how you use
now,
it.
you're 15 years into it. So most people agree that Google ads work because we're like, it's the
Right,
OG. But like you can literally go down there,
right,
Yelp doesn't work. Everything doesn't work except it does
right,
work. For some people, it doesn't work for others. The people that it
right.
works for use it. The people who don't complain.
Right. And it's all about how you use it and how much you know about it
Of
and
course.
stuff like that. But um, so I see a lot of shops do the boosted post, which is basically, and this is how I describe it, boosted post is basically like going out in your parking lot at your shop and going, I do window tint or I do detailing. And, maybe a few people across the street will hear you. And, most of them or all of them probably aren't interested. An actual Facebook ad is done on the back end of Facebook in Ads Manager, where you can set actual targeting, retargeting, custom audiences, and what I call it is ad sequencing, where someone sees your ad once and they interact with it. That means they're kind of interested, right? So you
Right.
ad sequence, and then you hit
Right.
them with several more ads over time, and that's how you really get it to work well. And I saw a study a few years ago that said consumer needs to see an ad from a company about 7 times on average before they'll consider doing business with them. So that's why ad sequencing is so important versus just doing the I do window tint
Right.
boosted post.
Right. And it's not to say that you can't get some results from that I do window tint post, where maybe some
Sure.
people then say, hey, it works, or hey, it's not about that. It can work. It can be a giant waste of money. But what you're
Mm.
describing works infinitely better than that way. So if you're
And
going to
long
spend your
term.
money, just invest the time, spend the extra, time getting to the back end and so on. Because
Right.
what you said, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with all of it. And like the repetition is something you have to understand the repetition aspect of it. The first time you see a company, you probably don't even pay attention. Maybe you do, maybe you
Right.
don't. And I know from my own shopping experiences online that like ads will get you. Like you see it, you're like, that's cool, or
Mm.
it's like an ad for the same type of dog you have for like something for them. And
Right.
as you see it a few times, it wears you down,
Hmm.
and you may want it, and you still may not click it, and then eventually you're like, let's go for it. And like you have to be
Right.
able to do that to the consumer if you want them to go for it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it may just be the wrong time. Like maybe they're ready to buy, but they're in the mid, like they're getting ready to add to cart or whatever, send a message, contact, become a lead, whatever, and then like an emergency happens, they have to go do something, they have to go take care of something, and they forget about it. So that's why ad sequencing over and over and over again, taking them down a funnel is what That's a pretty common marketing term, but
Yeah.
yeah, the sequencing is what I call it, but funnel, same thing.
Sure. And if you, bring a funnel, like anybody who is not familiar with the term funnel, just think about it literally like a cone shape of a funnel. And, you start off with more of a broad message. And then, you can, as those people are engaging, you can narrow them down into, different target markets for you. And, you find your customers at the bottom, the ones that make it through, you get them all the way through
Right.
the pipeline, you know.
Yep. Exactly.
So let's kind of back up a little bit, if we could, and just talk about, we're talking about marketing. You're a window tinter. You're also a marketer. Which one, the chicken or the egg, which one came first? How did you become great at both of them? Where did this all start?
So I have a not a full degree, but I tried to finish it, but uh, I guess partial degree, whatever you call it, in computer programming. I've always been a huge nerd. My first company, me and my partner, that actually lives in the same state as me now, we started when we were 14. It was a basically like an online course for graphic design and web design and stuff like that. So I've been the entrepreneur or whatever. I think that word's kind of overhyped, but I've been doing that kind of stuff for a long time. And when I went to finish my degree for programming, they kind of messed up my financial aid paperwork and stuff. And so I had been like kind of tinting windows on the side at that point. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I see if I can just start a business tinting windows? And it just obviously helped a lot that I knew kind of the nerdy stuff and how to market and stuff like that. And so it just went from there. But so I guess technically the marketing stuff kind of came first because like I said, I've always been kind of a nerd. But yeah, the tinting is definitely what's provided for my family and stuff like that. And the marketing side of it, I've done for myself, obviously for my own shop. But as of lately, it just kind of fell in my lap. People just started asking me to start doing it. So and that's how I got to where I am now.
So that's when you decided to, I guess, start the group and start offering your services
Right.
to
Yeah.
other tint shops.
Yeah. It never even crossed my mind until I started just getting people asking me.
Yeah. Well, that's how the good stuff comes about, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're doing it because you like it. You're doing it because it's something you like
Right.
do well, and then that's why they say, like, the money follows. You just gotta, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so services wise, how are you? I don't know where you're exactly at in that journey of expanding into clients, how many clients you have, and so on. But how are you moving forward? I guess, like, dividing your time. Are you taking on new clients? Like, for anybody watching, where would this start? How would they, if they're liking what they're here, how do they get involved? I guess what's the best way? Join the group.
Yeah, definitely join the group first. There's a lot of good info in there, even if you're just wanting to learn it yourself. I wish I had more time to put more info in there, to be honest. I can and will take on new clients. It's been crazy, especially with opening up my shop here soon. But yeah, the best way to get a hold of me, usually Facebook. Just add me as a friend and send me a message. I like to keep all of my client conversations within Facebook Messenger because I forget everything, and it's just nice to have it all in a message so I can go back and look at it. So yeah, if you're interested, or even if you just need you have a question, you're running your own ads and you just want to maybe optimize them or see if there's something you can do better, message me. I'm always down to help for free. So
So somebody right now, let's say, is coming, maybe they're coming from like a dead stop. They haven't been tinting for the last few months, maybe a little tight on money. Now they're about to reopen and they're saying, hey, obviously I have lost time to make up for. I need more business. What does that look like getting started? Both cost, timeline, like, somebody who may say, I don't know if this is for me. It sounds expensive, or it sounds fancy, or who knows, or
right.
give me an idea of like what.
Or they don't think it'll work because they've tried it before, or maybe they've
Sure.
used marketing agencies before. So this isn't a good way to get started, like full scale. But I have been offering one free ad campaign setup. It's free for anybody who's been affected by the virus and the shutdown and all that. It's not going to get you the results that the full service thing would, because there's a lot more to that. But yeah, anybody who is just now opening back up and needs help, kind of kickstarting and getting going, reach out to me. I do that for free. I will tell you, I have a very long list of people waiting on that. So it may be a little bit, but I'm more than happy to just kind of try to help you get going, just as a courtesy.
Okay. And then service wise, if somebody's saying like, I'm glad you have a long list, I want to skip the line and I want to experience the full shebang, like what does that look like? Is that hundreds of dollars proposition, thousands of dollars proposition? What does that look like?
So I have a lot of other marketers in my circle, and I know a lot of them do. I'd say the most common price point I've seen is $1,000 setup fee and $1,500 a month. So I don't believe in the setup fee. I think that if you're doing your job correctly, then you will make your money over time, because they're not going to fire you, right? You're going to keep making your money. Mm-hmm. And I think that in our industry, $1,500 a month is kind of steep. So what I do, and I even break it into weekly payments, because some guys, like most of my clients, are just starting out. And so I try to, make it really easy for them. I do right now, $150 a week, my fee, and then I recommend $35 a day for the Facebook ad spend. So it's broken down, in several parts, with mine being a weekly fee instead of a monthly all at one time, and then Facebook bills when it hits the threshold. So it's
total cost all in per month is about $1,500, would you say?
No, so I'm 600, and then the ad spend
about 900.
Oh yeah. So 1,600.
1,600.
So 1,600 a month, yeah, is what you'd be spending. But it's broken up so easily that, like,
right,
$35 a day versus $1,000 at the end of the month. You know what I mean?
And then
so
budget, like, okay, so you're talking ad spend, let's say $35 a day. Is that likely to produce immediate leads? Is it building up an audience? What do you like? What would be the expectation that would be a fair expectation on the other side of that?
Both. It varies, obviously, case to case. I mean, I have, for example, one guy in Colorado that, like, the first ads I set up, immediately he was starting to book appointments like crazy. Another on the other side of the country, I have a client that doesn't, I have to work my butt off a little bit more to get him the results. Usually you can expect to start getting leads right away. It'll obviously take some fine tuning to get the ad shown to the right people to where those leads are higher quality. And then, yeah, of course, over time, those leads and stuff start to become cheaper, and you start to build that audience and that community, like I was talking about, like with my shop. Like my shop, running ads for my shop, super easy. You know what I mean? 'Cause I've been doing it forever. So it depends. But yeah, you can definitely start making a return on your investment within the first week, for sure.
Okay, so we got a couple questions in the comments. Joseph Miller asked, question from McCoy, what made him transition from detailing to tint? And what do you miss most about detailing? And then he had a follow-up question, which was, what was the biggest self-made obstacle you had to overcome?
Why did I quit detailing? Okay, so I never necessarily enjoyed detailing, but I'm in Iowa, like a kind of rural area in Iowa. So like a lot of our details were just like farm trucks. So it wasn't exciting. It was just annoying. Like there's just like cow poop in the back seat. Like I'm not kidding. Like that happened a lot. So the reason the day like the straw finally snapped is I had to turn down $1,200 worth of tint work to do one $250 detail. And I said, you know what? I'm not doing detail anymore. The money is in window tint, and that's what I'm doing from now on. Biggest self-made obstacle you had to overcome? Debt. I'd say is business-wise debt. In the slow months, early on, I took on a lot of debt to keep payroll going for the employees. When I first started out, I had 7 employees. And to this day, I'm still paying that debt off little by little. But
so was that incurred mostly in like the first year of business?
Probably first 3. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So paying
Uh,
back like startup debt essentially, which
yeah, yeah,
in other
yeah.
words is like life lessons. You pay for them somewhere, and
Right.
right.
Yeah, and I'd say the other thing, self-made hurdle or problem would be it's just all in your head. Like I had a few people ask me if I was nervous to hop on and do this today, and I'm like, I'm not nervous. The only thing I would be worried about is not being able to portray what's in my head to the viewer correctly or fully, because I know when we get off this call, I'm going to be like, crap, man, I could have talked about that for another 20 minutes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, yeah, it's all in your head. Um,
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
Okay. Couple follow up questions, or a couple other questions. Heather asked, "What ads are you running for that? Are these ClickFunnels, Facebook, and Google ads?" And I assume she means the $1,500 a month. That's just Facebook ads, right? Nothing to do with like Google or.
No, the full service where I charge 150 a week and then $35 a day for the ad spend, that is pretty much everything,
Oh,
even
okay.
SEO. Like I'll help you with your SEO, I'll help you with your website design to help it convert better. Like that, I'm super cheap for what I'm doing. Um, yeah, so Google ads, if you want to do that, YouTube, whatever, it doesn't matter. I honestly should probably charge a lot more.
So, so why don't you charge more?
um, I don't know. Maybe I will eventually. I know I started my shop at fairly cheap prices, and then I raised over time, and maybe I will with the marketing thing. Um, I feel like the auto customization industry, detailing in window tint is kind of like my home, right? And I feel like I owe it back to that industry, and that's why I do like the free ad that I'm doing right now and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I'll raise my prices eventually.
I mean, look, it's normal when you start out with something. You want to get your foot in the door with people, build clientele. You start off showing them a huge bargain, and then once people are able to see the results you're able to provide, you're able to
Right.
charge the amounts that you feel are justified for the services you provide. So if I tell you, hey, you can spend 100, you're going to make 1,000, but I want 50, you're going to be more convinced of that once you see it than
Right.
when it's just words. So I think that's probably, if I had to just put
It'll
words in
get
your
there.
mouth and guess,
Yeah.
that's probably what it is.
Eventually,
And
yeah, for
fair
sure.
enough with the love for the industry. And I mean, that's really cool that you're doing free ad setups, because, like, at the end of the day, love for the industry. Why not?
Right.
So, and Heather said because tin shops won't pay more. So you're right in a way, but there are some tin shops that are gonna, like, if I signed up with you and I see that, hey, the first month I spent $1,500, but I did 10,000 more in gross sales and I profited 3,000 in profit or 4,000. The next month I'm gonna say let's double it or triple it, and
Right.
I'm gonna keep
Scale
going.
it. Yeah, for
So when
sure.
you say like won't spend that much, it's again, it's like, yeah, a lot of people aren't gonna make the upfront big investment, or they're not in the position to do that upfront. But if anytime you come across a good marketing solution, what you should do is grow it exponentially, because
Right.
if it works at 100, it could work at 1,000, it could work at 1,000,000.
That's what I do with my shop. Yep.
So then with your shop, what do you find are like some of the limitations? Like, you have one location and a team of how many people?
Now we're just down to me and one other guy.
And is that because of the recent, like the uh,
No, no,
COVID,
no,
or is
no.
that just recent?
No, it's been like that for, well, we've been slowly downsizing. So, like I said, I had about I think 7 employees at one point, and then we just, they, had better stuff to do or whatever, so they quit, which is fine. And then we got down to me, one other tech, and then a receptionist. Well, the receptionist found something better to do, which is fine. And so it's just me and the other tech. And to be honest, I found I've kept more money in my pocket
Yeah,
with just me and him than
sure,
having 7 employees, because when we had 7 employees, we have one slow day, boom, that just cost me a ton of money to pay
sure.
these guys to sit here and do nothing. And then we had to reach out, and we were having to do wholesale work for like dealerships and stuff. This was back when we were detailing, and since we moved to full retail and primarily only window tint with 2 employees, so much more money.
So Okay, what that tells me is, it's not about the amount of employees. It's about the productivity you're getting out of the employees, the consistency of the business that's coming in, and and then so, my question I guess would be if you can bring in customers by executing marketing very precisely, then why not grow as large as you could grow? And I'm not I'm not discluding the concept of you not wanting to manage people. So it's not like I'm not trying to put you in a corner with that
Sure.
question. It's just curiosity. If you're helping other tin companies grow, why not have a staff of 20? Or is that the plan? Or
So you're saying
I'm
grow
saying
my shop instead, focus on growing my shop exponentially?
not necessarily instead, but what I'm saying is you have a team of two and you're super busy and I understand. Okay, so the two reasons why you're way more profitable with two employees than you might have been with seven is because of the slow days and because potentially the lack of productivity you're getting out. Maybe you can do a job with one person instead of three people, or you can do it yourself, and whatever it is. My question, I
Sure.
guess, is don't ads kind of fix for all that, like, and the right employees? Doesn't that just mean you need different people and more business, and then you
Yes.
become a trillionaire? The tint trillionaire.
Yes, but um, that's hinged on two things. For one, in the area that I'm in, I think I'm capped out. I'm
Okay.
close to the capital city, but like I think I would do better in the capital city, but most of my customers already come from the capital city, which is about 20 minutes away. So I think location is a thing. I'd have to open other branches in other, probably different states, honestly, because I pull customers from all over this state that I'm in.
So
And then
market
the other,
saturation, that's it. Like you've saturated that market for the most
right,
part. So you feel
right,
like
yeah,
you're
anybody anywhere close just comes to my location. So I'd have to go out of state or somewhere far away.
okay.
The other thing would be just personal interest. I'm just not really interested in growing a tent business that big,
Okay.
at least not right now. Maybe in the future, but yeah, right now I like that things are simple. I wake up, drive 5 minutes to work, I collect my money, and go home instead of managing a bunch of employees like you mentioned.
Sure. I think that's a very good point that, anybody who's sitting there with one employee, two employees, three employees, and going, man, I can't wait till I have 10 employees. Just, it's one of those, like, you have to be careful what you wish for because you might just get it. Like, that's a whole different animal. So it's not always just about bigger
It's
is
com-
better. Bigger is different.
it's
Smaller is
yeah.
different. It's all different.
Yeah, bigger's cool because if you get the right employees working under you, your job kind of changes a lot. Like instead of tinting a window, you're managing people and managing money and assets and stuff, which is pretty cool. But at the same time, when a slow day hits or a slow week or a recession or something, then you got big problems versus just a problem. You know what I
Right.
mean?
So, on that subject, it's like you have to almost think for yourself as a business owner. Where is your strength, and how do you get the most out of your strength? And it just reminds me of like I used to be in like a very salesy business, like a call center telemarketing type scenario. And one of the mistakes you would see in other people's offices, or I would see in the industry, was, and you see it really in every industry, is you'll take the best, let's use restaurants, it's more relatable. You'll take the best, let's say, waitress, and you'll make her a manager of the waitresses, and you say, well, was she good with customers or was she good at
Right,
managing other people's jobs? And those are two completely separate things. And
right,
just because
right.
you can be good at doing a job doesn't mean that you can be good at managing people doing that job.
For sure.
Whole different animal.
Right.
So
Well,
just
yeah, it's all just what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like what's in your heart, what makes you happy.
right. So Joseph Miller had a question. He said, how do you know when it's time to hire your first employee? What did your interview process look like to ensure you were getting the right guy for the job?
You know when you need to hire somebody when you can't handle your workload, when you have to turn jobs down. What the interview process look like? Mine have always been very relaxed. I tell them that they're going to come in and I'm going to try them out and instruct them on what to do. And usually by the end of the week, I know if they're a good fit or not. I don't ask them questions like, if your boss punches you, what should you do? Like it's
Sure.
just come in. We'll see how you fit in. If you don't fit in, then I'll just tell you.
So, Joseph, one of the things that like I find just it's like a simple thing, but it's you have to catch yourself almost is if you're doing an interview, you're meeting somebody, try not to tell them everything that's important to you about like personal characteristics. So try not to tell them, hey, I'm looking for somebody who's on time. I'm looking for somebody who's, professional. I'm looking for, try instead of telling them all the things you're looking for, observe them, ask them what's important to them, ask them about their previous jobs, ask them about their lives, and try to gauge if those are characteristics that they're portraying. Because if you tell somebody what you're looking for, they can just say, yeah, that's
Right.
me. You just described me. You want somebody punctual. I'm
Right.
functional. So, try not to spill the beans too much. Let them do the talking more, and you're going
That's
to get
smart.
an idea of what type of person they are.
And I found the best employees are people who believe in the company's mission and objective and want to build the company up
Right.
versus just clock in and clock out. So that's a big thing too.
Which, on that subject, that's a whole part of management in itself, which is,
Right.
communicating that company's objective, continuing to like lead your employees and staff and team members through the challenges and the ups and the downs and continue with that same North Star of where the company's going. And, that's an never ending job and challenge, I think. Even
Right.
like you give it an example just this time and the different calls to leadership that just the whole coronavirus put on business owners where, we have to, pause working and address the staff and make hard decisions and have conversations about hard topics where maybe that was never something you had to do before.
Right.
So I'm just going to read this comment. It's a long one. I'm not sure if there's a question here, but I'm going to read it. It's from Heather, and she said, Premier Tint Pros opened in 2016, team of 3. 2020, we have a team of 11, 2 shops 15 minutes apart. I spend $500 on marketing, and we do 200 to 250 cars a week, 150 during the summer, and 150 per week off season. You have to know your community and have someone like me who doesn't tint and only markets customer service, gets out in the community, things that tinters don't have time to do. Hire an in-house sales marketing and get McCoy or someone like him to do the marketing. Spend your money on that. So if you're an owner tinter, you don't have to deal with business growing. That's definitely like right on the money. You can't think that,
Yeah.
okay, if I came to you to any tinter, if I walk into any tint shop and I said, I've never tinted a window before, I've never held window film, I've never seen a video on it, but every couple weeks I may tint a window. You're going to be like, you're going to do a horrible job. You don't know what you're doing. So why would you think you could apply that same lack of like knowledge and consistency and so on to your business's marketing?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it takes a lot of experience, I'll tell you that. And things change all the time, as we all know. So yeah, and yeah, unless you have a lot of experience with marketing and you're a huge nerd like me, like if you can afford it, hire a professional. If you can't, then that's fine. Just sit down and make sure you learn it a lot. Like buy course. You're probably gonna have to buy courses, professional courses on how to do things.
So,
or pay somebody to consult, I guess.
yeah, look, I think there's every which way to handle that because I think there's a lot of very free YouTube videos on TV. I'm sorry, on TV. There's very free YouTube videos on the internet. Certainly, there's good courses. It's almost marketing is a tricky one because you can watch terrible YouTube videos. You can watch amazing YouTube videos, and they'll both be free. You can spend any amount of money on courses, and you might find a good one. You may spend your money on a bad one, and they'll both take your money. And the same with a marketing service. So that's why I think like looking to who actually has results as closely as you can find somebody. So like in your case, you're in the industry and you're ongoing
Right.
and you know who you are and you can maybe get references from other tinters you work for. To me, anybody in the industry that it's better than saying, let me find my local marketing company and just hand it over to them. Because I do think more likely than not, you're
Right.
going to be disappointed if you do it that way. Because most marketing companies, I think at that price point are operating in a way where they're spending 95% of their time and efforts trying to get more clients, and the other 5% fulfilling whatever they told you they were going to do.
Yeah.
And it's just a more client game.
Yeah, and it's so cookie cutter and expensive too. Like their prices are so high because they spend so much time branding their own company
Mhm.
and having the sales staff and stuff. And then the stuff they produce is just cookie cutter. I actually was just on a video call with somebody out in LA yesterday, who has a detailing product he's wanting to promote, and he's told me he's had several marketing agencies just burn him. And I actually got to look at the ads, the campaigns they set up, and they're just so cookie cutter. And we're on the video call, and I'm like, dude, look at this, like very obvious mistakes. Like they just threw this together and charged you.
Yeah. So when learning marketing, I mean, you really have to look for people you trust, people that seem credible, and it's an ongoing, never-ending learning process.
Yeah.
So, okay, you mentioned earlier another extremely great point, which was brought up through a question in the comments, which was, why did you transition from detailing to tint? And what you said, to recap, was, hey, I was getting way less money for the amount of time I was spending in detailing. I was turning
Right.
down bigger tint jobs for smaller detailing jobs, and so on. It was just not the best use of your time. So you made the extremely smart move, and that's obviously something you have to always be conscious of. How are you spending your time? What is your results? Your results can be measured in money, it can be measured in happiness, in future growth, and so on. So my question to you is, now you have a tin shop and you also have a marketing company, and I'm curious if you foresee a potential situation where you say, hey, it's no longer worth my time to have a tin shop because I have this marketing company, or vice versa.
My heart is in the marketing. I'll tell you that. Things get old. Things that used to be exciting become just a job. I used to go into work at the tent shop every day, super pumped, and get to work on cool cars and stuff. That's come and gone. My excitement's definitely in the marketing now. Um, Realistically, could I shut down my tent shop and do marketing full time at this point? No. I have a very expensive wife. So not anytime in the near future, I don't think. But yeah, it'd be really cool if I could just do my nerd stuff. I really enjoy it, and that's where my heart's at, and it excites me much more the tinting does. So
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. And, I just think it's extra cool when, like, because the tint industry is still, to me, a young and fragmented and full of opportunity industry, when you see these, like, come into the industry as tinter, and then you have this, like, offshoot as a
right,
completely different business that's still within the ecosystem, benefiting the industry, getting more tint on windows, even, whether it be a tool or, in your case, marketing and so on. It's
right,
like a tree growing a different branch.
yeah, for sure. That's a good analogy.
So, other than Facebook ads, where do you think the biggest opportunity lies for most tint shops that are looking to improve their exposure?
Other than Facebook ads, um, well, follow-ups are cool.
Say again.
Your past customers, you can
Follow-ups.
definitely. I said follow-ups pretty cool. You can definitely work that game. Like your past customers, they all know 3 or 4 people that would probably want window tint. I mean, if you're really a good salesman, you can um, follow up with them and do kind of like a referral thing. Other than Facebook ads, I would say Facebook organic has pretty low reach, but you can still build a pretty cool community just organically. Instagram's kind of popping off because what we do with window tint and detailing and stuff is what I would call a sexy business, meaning that people like to see pictures of it. Instagram's a pretty good tool. TikTok is too early. Email marketing, I don't know about that because it's so local.
I hate email
YouTube's
marketing.
limited.
I hate email marketing so much with a passion. And I tell you,
Right.
especially if you're doing flat glass and you think it's a good idea to do email marketing to all your customers,
Right.
I know you can find the instances where it worked for you, but I just feel like as an overall like vibe you're giving out,
Right.
it's not the society isn't going in the right direction for that. Like you're not aligning yourself with the future. You're kind of aligning yourself with the
Hmm.
annoying.
I'd say 100% the thing you should focus on, and whatever platform you want to do it with, is building a community, because I just proved yesterday, or yesterday the day before, that when you have a strong community, it doesn't take much to pour customers in the door. And I'm referring to my organic Facebook post that brought me like 40 some appointments within a few hours. So yeah, pick what you're gonna do, stick to it, build a community around it, engage with your community, keep it going, and yeah, that's all there really is to it. And yeah, it takes paid ads to build that community. People aren't just gonna hear about you out of nowhere, but nurture it and keep it going and keep it engaged, and you'll make a lot of money.
Okay. So, and then important in those ads is the creative, that it's something that's
Right.
actually engaging, and then the distribution, like you said, applying some
Targeting.
money to it, targeting, so people actually see it.
Right. Okay, so here's an analogy I always say. Would you rather spend $10 either way and have 1,000 people see an ad, and most of them have no idea who you are? They probably are, half of them might be homeless, like you have no idea who they are. Or would you rather spend $10 and 30 people see your ad, but they're very likely to become your customer, right? So it's shotgun marketing versus sniper rifle marketing, right? So the same amount of money spent, but you're showing it to the right people.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy. It's not about how many people are seeing it; it's about how many customers come in the door, and
Right.
that's the way to it. Heather asked, "Do you know anything about the new Google quoting? Now you can request a quote from all local tin shops on Google via one request. Trying to figure out how Google chooses the tin shops they send the quote to. I imagine it sounds exactly like what Yelp does when you submit a Yelp inquiry with a company. You send it to one company, they ask you, do you also want to get bids from other similar companies, and then they just send it to like three or four other ones. Are you familiar with Google's new feature?
I haven't heard about that necessarily, but it sounds like a lead gen play by Google. I would
Sure.
guarantee you that Google is going to show it to the people or the shops first that have the best GMB listing, which is Google My Business, and that's something I help with for my clients too. But there's a lot to so when you Google, like if you Google your shop and it pops up on the right side or whatever, and it has like your website and all that stuff, that's your GMB listing. There's a lot of stuff you have to do to get that up on the list for when people search like window tint Albuquerque, like you want to show up high, right? So there's tricks you can do to get you to show up higher, and I would bet you anything that Google's going to show it to the people that are on top of that list
Yeah.
first, as far as like giving that lead to those shops.
Yeah, I think that's obviously like that. How could it not be? Because if they're going to show you three or four local listings, I'd imagine it would be the same as far as who they're sending the quote feature to. And then as far as I know, with like responding to those quotes, you actually, as far as I know, you have to do it through the mobile app, the Google like My Business like local or phone app. I don't believe there's any way to do it through your desktop.
Really?
So like reply to those. So you need that app. If you're a business owner, you have a great Google listing, but you don't have that app. You may not have the Google like quote messaging feature turned on. It is something that you have to have the app, and I do think you have to like click a couple clicks. It's free, but to turn it on.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Have you
I play with Facebook way more than I play with Google.
have you
Go ahead.
have you set up in Google My Business? Have you set up the free website that they also give you that kind of plays from that Google My Business listing?
No, like I said, I haven't really looked much on Google. Facebook's kind of my forte.
Okay.
You want to talk about that? I guess inform me.
Okay. So in the Google My Business, they have a feature that you can just basically create a website with their website builder,
Okay.
and they make it really simple. They'll pull pictures straight from your Google listing, services, and so on. So it's just basically a couple like drag and drop clicks. It's more of just acknowledging that you want it set up. They give you like maybe five different theme options or color options, and you can customize, the font, the colors, and so on. And basically, it becomes an additional website. It's completely free. They set it up as a Google My Business URL, but you can put your own URL to it if you'd like as well. So, the way I see this being used is, I don't think this should be your standalone website if you already have a website. I don't think it should replace your
Right.
website, but I do think it's a feature you might as well turn on, take advantage of, and have
Yeah.
as an additional domain, because you just doubled your website. And then as you post
Yeah.
to Google My Business, you know how you can do actual like posts, like you can post an image, you can post then like a couple of paragraphs of text, and you can link it, and it's like a Google My Business post. As you do those, they automatically show up on your website. So they just kind of made it like very simple to have an updated website with no more than a few clicks and no additional cost.
I bet you Google will crawl and show those website listings more than they will show an actual website.
Of course, because
I
they're
mean, it's their
trusted.
platform,
They're
right?
trusted. It's their website. They want every business to have them. They want it to be the go-to place. And at the end of the
Right.
day, it's a trusted website. They know what type of user experience is going to be had on that website, and they're going to know that there's nothing fishy going on. Because essentially, Google's always trying to say, hey, which is the website we want to show that's going to give the customer the answers to what they're looking for, the best user experience, and we don't want anything fishy going on. We don't want any weird ads. We don't want you to be deceptive and so on. And if you have a
Right.
verified Google My Business and this is an offshoot of that, then that's as credible as you can get.
Yeah. For everybody, I would definitely set that up. That's going to help your GMB a lot. Did they just come out with that? I haven't heard of that.
So I've known about it for probably about maybe 5, 6 months. So it's not like
Hmm.
brand new, but it's not like years
Yeah.
old.
Okay. Like I said, I don't mess with Google a whole lot, but that's cool. Okay. I'll be keeping that in mind. Thanks for the
Yeah.
tip. Thanks for the marketing tip.
Hey, that's what Tint Wisdom's all about. So so
I think we got a couple more questions here.
let's see. So let's see. Quick question. Javier, do you have anything about the Google quoting? Yeah, Javier was the next question. He said, quick question about how do you build a community on Facebook? So what are some key fundamentals to building a community?
Um, so engagement,
And hold
not
on, when we say
just
community, I want to just separate something just because it confused me, I think, coming into this. When we say
okay,
community, we're not necessarily talking about a Facebook group. It's just an audience, essentially, of your Facebook
an
page.
audience of people
Right.
that love you and want to buy from you, right?
Perfect.
Okay, so well, the first step of starting anything in a large group is give them what they want, right? So you know, pictures of cars that you tint and stuff like that, but most importantly, engagement, not only from them to you, but from you to them. So I've been known to do a lot of giveaways and just interact with the community as a whole. Just ask random questions, like when this coronavirus thing started popping off. I made a post and just asked for engagement, like, what do you guys think about this? Like, how are you? How's it going? Just engaging with your community and keeping them interactive. Asking, I'd say the number one thing is asking questions, because that gets engagement, right? You're asking them a question and they will engage back. And the more you do
Sure.
that, the more engagement you get. Well, yeah, it depends on the
So
question, but
let's talk about like the type of post, because I think that's where a lot of people struggle. Is they're like, I just don't know what to post other than, hey, here's a car that I just did. So if we're talking about like
right,
asking him a question, is the question like a personal question? Is it hobby related? Is it, what's your favorite thing to do on weekends when you're not at
sure.
work? What's the first thing you're going to do when you get out of quarantine? Is it that type of things, or do they relate in? How do you mix that? How do you know what's the right proportions? Or
It can be kind of personal, and I mean, you do whatever you want, but I'm going to tell you what I do and how I feel about it. Um, Personal questions are fine. I like to keep it car related because I'm a car shop, right? So questions like, what was your first car and how did you like it? Or tell us a story about your first car, or what's your dream car, or post a picture of a car you just tinted, like a sick new Corvette or something, and say, do you guys like this color, or what color would you prefer on it? Just the question aspect is what I'm trying to drive home here, is that's what gets the engagement, is asking the question. The context of it doesn't really matter. You can kind of come up with that based on how you feel about your community.
okay, I mean, but based on the questions you mentioned, I would assume you're building a car enthusiast community. If people are going to reply about their favorite cars, maybe their first cars, and so on, like, do you tend to have like more car enthusiasts within your community, or is it just no? It's just like a random mix
Uh,
of everybody.
no. Despite what you would think it would be that way.
Hmm.
But no, we'll like if I post like what was your first car or what's your favorite car, what's your dream car, we'll have moms on there that'll post like a new Chrysler Pacifica or something like really want one of these, love that has the removable second row seat. Well, like it's just you'd be surprised, and play with your own audience and see kind of what they engage with and how they react and stuff. But no, just any type of engagement. Like I said, you're just stirring that community, and if you don't stir it, then it's just going to go stagnant, and they're going to forget about you.
So are there any demographics that you try to narrow down to, even like if you're building your community, it does require some ads to be able to get some exposure from new people, bring them in the top part of that funnel. Are there any demographics that you try to narrow down right off the bat, or do you just see who engages from the broadest of the broad and then narrow it down from there?
You can do it either way. For my shop, and some of my clients are a little bit different, but for my shop, I do for my ads, I do ages 25 to 55 because I only do window tint. Detailing, when I was doing detailing, I would go 65 plus, like probably 25 to 65 plus because I get a lot of older clients want their car detailed. But for window tint, I do 25 to 55 usually, men and women. For me, I do within a 50-mile radius, but I have a very big, well-known name in this area. So if you're just starting out, maybe you go like 15 to 25 miles. Um, for that type of ad, if you're just trying to get people into your community and get people knowing you, I'd probably leave it at that. A lot of the interest targeting and stuff like that, like the detail targeting of Facebook, since they got sued or threatened to get sued or whatever last year or the year before, isn't very accurate. Like income targeting, you can play with that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I would just keep it broad, and that's why I say to do the ad sequencing, right? So like my first ad, I'm going to do 25 to 55-year-old men and women within a 50-mile radius. Okay, I'm going to do an engagement objective ad, and then anybody who engages with that ad, I'm going to hit them with another ad, then another ad, then another ad, then another ad, and then eventually at some point they're going to convert.
Got it. I think that makes perfect sense. Scott left a comment that I'm going to read. It's a long one, so it'll challenge my reading skills and eyesight. Let me get it up on screen for everybody. All right. So Scott says, I've been a brick and mortar detail shop offering tint starting 4 months. I have 3 detail techs, including myself. I was trying to tint, detail, market, answer phones, website, etc. It sounds like a lot of people. I had to stop marketing tint altogether because I wasn't doing enough to justify stocking tint for the occasional client. I stumbled across an experienced automotive and flat glass tinter and hired them immediately and began a massive marketing plan for tint. In the last 4 months, we went from doing 600 to 800 a month in tint to 15,000 a month in tint, and that's accounting for 30% of our revenue now. I have zero marketing experience other than Facebook and Google Ads work. I know I could reach more people with a professional. We're just recently able to afford to look into hiring a marketing professional. Until we find the right person, what should I focus on my marketing campaigns until I find the right person? Continue spending $300 a month on Facebook and $300 a month on Google, or begin something new while still running ads? We're running ads for lead generation. Currently, I'm self-taught and I don't have time to really focus as much time as I really need to. I need your help.
Okay, wow.
So let's unpack that a little bit. So first of
Okay,
all, let me just say congratulations, Scott, on doing such a freaking amazing job turning that around.
for sure.
And I think the big point here is, it takes an installer and it takes leads, and it can be a business overnight essentially, because that's what it is. It's
Right.
marketing, getting the customers in, and then getting them out, and they have to come in happy, leave happy.
That's all there is to it.
He did that and grew his business basically overnight.
Awesome.
Where do you see him going from here? What do you think his next step should be?
Okay, so from all that, it seemed like the thing that switched from going from like $600 or $800 a month to whatever thousands it was. The thing that switched is he started doing ads, right?
I'm going to click up or scroll up here. But
I'm trying to find the
yes,
comment. I can't find it.
yes, for sure. He said, I stumbled across an experienced automotive and flat glass tinner, hired them immediately, and began a massive marketing plan for Tint. And
Right.
you know, he went from 600 to 800 a month to 15,000 a month. And then he's saying, should he continue spending 300 a month on Facebook and 300 a month on Google? And in my opinion, I would double,
Yes.
just double
Yeah.
him. I
Scale
would
it.
just go
If
spend
it's
600 a
working,
month.
scale it. Yeah.
And I like,
If
I
if
wouldn't
it's
be
working for you, do more.
exactly. I wouldn't be necessarily looking for something new. I would be looking for just doing more of what you're doing. And
Yeah.
maybe if you can see room for improvement, go for it. But for the most part, I would just double, keep doubling.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Scale it. If it's working, scale it. Look at other things too. Like I don't know what kind of ads you're running on Facebook, but like I always say, just keep building that community because those community people are going to be the people you can reach out to for free in the future to pull in customers easily. Like I did, like I said at the beginning of this video, what I did.
Yeah, and Scott followed up and he said that he hired help to cover the work and marketing I was running. So like in this case, you know, it sounds like, look, you can always do better at marketing, but it sounds like you're killing it with the marketing end of it, and you also killed it with hiring the right person. So to me, I would
Uh-huh.
say you need to then go, okay, who else do I need to hire, and what else do I need to market? And you need to keep yourself free to now make these decisions because you're going to be much more effective doing this, in my opinion, than hiring a marketing company and then like unless it's a marketing company that you know and trust and so on. But you looking for a marketing company, just hiring them and you going back
Right.
to tinting, to me doesn't necessarily sound like the best idea. But if you can hire somebody to do your marketing, just don't forget, that's great. Just don't forget that you have a niche for hiring and you're also pretty good at marketing, regardless of what you think.
Start there and just keep going. I wouldn't hire anybody if I was in those shoes. I mean, I wasn't the best marketer. I figured it out though. And the reason people will pay me for marketing is because they just don't want to figure it out. They don't have time for it.
Right.
And so if you have the time and the energy and the resources and you want to figure it out, do that. Don't hire
Right.
anybody. You know what I mean?
Right. And a lot of times the issue is just time. People realize that they need this stuff when they're like pulling their hair out. They don't have any time because they're so busy. At that time, it's hard to transition. But if you're able to take a step away, you have some extra time and you can do it yourself, work with people, do whatever you can do. But even if you hire somebody, don't think that means you're not going to have to spend any effort looking over it and understanding it and so on. It's just, I don't know of anything.
It's probably going to be more work.
There's probably going to be more work with most companies. You're right.
Yeah, unless they really know what they're doing, you're just going to have to oversee everything anyway.
So we also had a question. Hi from Switzerland. McCoy, how do you use customer info to get new leads or referrals? So you mentioned referrals earlier being a great source. Let's say you have that information, you have their name, you have their email, you have their phone. What is your next step?
So I can see this question going two ways. So I'll address what you're talking about first. There's software out there, lots of different softwares that will let you, and maybe Tint Wiz does it, I don't know, that will let you import your customer list, and then it'll automatically text out or email out and ask for referrals and or reviews or both. So look into that. There's like tons of them. That's kind of a short-ended question.
So kind of like an email. You're saying get their information and then through email or maybe SMS, ask for referrals, ask for reviews.
Yeah. It's like automated. It's super simple. The other way I could see this question going, if you think that was enough of an answer for that question.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other way I see this going is custom audiences. How do you use customer info to get new leads and referrals? I don't know about the referral part, but new leads. Okay, so within Ads Manager, you can create custom audiences and of past customers. So say you have a list compiled of 2,000 of your past customers. You can put that into the Facebook backend, and Facebook will dig through all of them and be like, okay, well, here's the habits, or like the common denominators with all these people. Like, all of them happen to have this kind of credit score and like this kind of car and happen to subscribe to this golf magazine or whatever. Like, all the data points, they know
Right.
everything about you. So the custom audience, and then you create a lookalike audience off of that, and you say, Facebook, this past customer base, I want you to find everybody in my area that's similar to that, and that's who we're going to run this ad to.
Right.
So how do you use customer info to get new leads? That's one way you could take that question, would be the lookalike audience.
That's my favorite answer, because emailing and text messaging for like reviews, I think is a great idea. For referrals, I think it's a great idea, but maybe could be a little annoying, maybe not. But I just love that.
That just comes with branding, though.
Say again.
Like, referrals just comes with branding.
Referrals
Like,
comes with, yeah. I mean,
like if your brother asks you, where'd you get your windows tinted, or what do you recommend? Like, if your shop is the place that person's mind goes to when they get asked that question, where'd you get your windows tinted? Oh, duh, this place over here. I see their ads all the time.
If a customer, I feel like if you have a customer, you tint their home, you tint their car, and then, like you said, their brother, their neighbor says, "Oh, I just got my windows tinted. Where'd you get it done?" They're going to share that information. They're not going to be like,
Right,
I'm not
right.
telling you. It's just
I'm telling you.
but you asking them to tell somebody like, "Hey, any referrals," and so on. Like,
Yeah,
I just
they're
don't see
definitely not
that being
gonna do that.
effective. Like, who's going to go out of their way and be like, "Let me text
Right.
message this to some people." Like, that's not
Right,
realistic.
right.
But the review thing definitely is like a good way to throw out a referral. But getting back to the lookalike audiences, everybody should take note of what you just explained, because when you go to make an ad, what it's going to ask you to do is, hey, who do you want to target, right? Any ad you make, it asks you to target. And then you're sitting there going male or female, ages, likes, interests, and so on. Or you can literally, like you said, I'm going to export 2,000 of my clients from where I have their information stored. I can import that list into Facebook, and I can say, Facebook, with all the information that you know about these people that you probably don't even want to share, that that about them in the ads, all the factors that you keep behind the scenes, we're going to let you figure out who out there looks 99% like these people and show my ads to those people. I don't understand how you could possibly get better targeting in a way. Like,
Right.
not off the bat. Like,
Right, and that's all sequencing is. I mean, it's just custom and lookalike audiences in the right order with the right content in the right order, and yeah, that's just how you do it. I mean, it's not easy, but it's not rocket science. You know what I mean?
yeah. Javier also asked,
Well, for today.
Well, what do you mean? Like, it's getting more difficult?
Well, yeah.
Or you
I mean,
mean
things
there is
change
more
all the
to
time.
it?
Oh, well, yeah, there's a lot more to it, and it is getting more difficult. The targeting options become smaller and smaller as Facebook grows, and yeah, I mean, you got to know what you're doing. It's experience, and oh my God, it's getting so much more expensive. Like, when I started, I could get in front of 1,000 people. This is called CPM, cost per thousand impressions, for under $1, and now we're close to $5 CPMs.
Right.
Like, just the cost to buy the ad and put it in front of people is just getting so much more expensive.
Because the ads work essentially like on an auction, the same way Google ads do, and so on, which
Right,
is,
it's supply and demand.
supply and demand. So the more people trying to bid on a keyword or on a demographic to see that ad, I think on Facebook right now, every fifth post that you look at is an ad. So that means that if you're going to sit there and scroll through 20 posts, Facebook has 4 opportunities to show you an ad. And in those 4 opportunities, they're going to have maybe 40 or 100 companies bidding on, hey, we want my post to show that to that person. So your cost goes up the more people are bidding. And really, in like let's just say Google Ads, like, it really only takes a few tint companies going after some terms to make the difference between a key term being $1 or $20 per click.
Mm-hmm.
It just so as people get to it, and
it's just a real estate game.
Yep.
You're buying real estate.
So Heather said, video ads, Instagram is killing Facebook for Illinois.
I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to come down to, like, what do you enjoy engaging with? I always try to just go, what do I stop at when I'm scrolling? And like I've caught myself stopping at ads that are company ads, like companies that are worth millions and millions of dollars. These are completely paid ads, and they look like somebody is doing it on their phone in their home. And they have their baby or something. And I'm like, oh, who's that? And then I'm like, oh, this is an ad.
Yeah, that's
You
what you
know?
call native ads in the marketing world. It's called native ads. Where it native ads are what the term for ads that look like they're not ads,
Right.
which is how any ad should be. Like you don't want your ad to look like an ad. People are just going to scroll past it.
Right. Um, Matt Blackmer said, "Yeah, more and more people are using Facebook ads. That's for sure, and especially with, um, obviously, more and more people talking about Facebook ads. You're going to get more and more people using the Facebook ads." Matt said, "I managed to get 5,000 impressions on a new business page by live streaming my work, and customer shared it to groups and friends." I mean, that's like Matt.
Community.
Yeah, I mean that's so huge. Like he's live streaming his installs. If a customer sees their car being like tinted, there's so many customers out there that are going to share it into local groups, just groups that you don't even know exist that they're a part of, or
Right.
automotive
Yeah.
related groups and so
Smart.
on. And that is the only way into those groups typically, unless you're paying for sponsorship. Like if you want to be in a local group, there's a group for your area, let's say whatever it is, local businesses. Most of the time they don't want businesses going in there and promoting themselves. They're looking more
Right.
for like, but if a person who's known as a user in there posts about a business, like you just got in, and those groups get a crazy amount of free exposure. Nothing like
Yeah.
your business page. It's the opposite.
Right. Yeah. Business pages are actually down to 1% organic reach unless it gets the engagement. Then it'll go up from there. But one sneaky trick that I like to use is so we're just doing this for a client in Mississippi. So if you take like a video you make at your shop of like a car you tinted, you do like a walk around video or whatever, you post that to your shop's page, and then you can share that from your shop's page into a group. Anybody who like say you share it into like a local like cars and coffee group, anybody who views that you can then retarget with Facebook ads, and you can't normally target any group members with Facebook ads, but that's kind of like a sneaky
Because they
workaround
viewed the video.
because they viewed the video. Correct.
And that's an audience that's available through the Facebook ads and ad management that you're not going to
Yeah.
see in your boost. And like a lot of the Instagram
Right.
targeting, if you're trying to target people on Instagram, through Instagram, you have almost no way to target anything. But through Facebook ads, you can target Instagram by people who engage, people who messaged you, people who watched your video. There's like
Hmm.
Instagram is so much, and it's all hidden behind Facebook ad wall, like ad set.
Right. Yeah. That's the epicenter of everything is that Facebook ads manager,
Yeah.
which is good and bad, I guess.
So one
That's,
other thing I kind of want. Oh, go ahead.
real quick.
Shoot.
Matt Blackmer, thank
Yep.
you, dude. You with your YouTube videos, you trained me how to tint windows, so you made my business what it is. It wouldn't have been possible without you. So thanks, man.
That's huge. So you learned actually how to tint windows from that?
Yeah, I started in about 2012 or so. Yeah, I started watching his videos and just went from there. So hopefully he's still watching. Thanks, man.
Tint stuff on Facebook and on YouTube. One of
Yeah,
the largest, it's got to be it's definitely the largest window tinting YouTube channel in
probably. Yeah.
existence on the planet, in the known universe. And another incredible contribution Matt has made, and I'm underplaying how big this is he put up a video a couple days ago of how he set up his company's automatic, like the chatbot, Facebook chatbot. And the thing about a chatbot
Hmm.
is chatbots suck. They don't suck, but they can suck. But they can be incredibly awesome. And Matt made it incredibly awesome because a chatbot essentially is just like sequential responses to questions that a customer is going to ask. And you can do a terrible job or you can do an incredible job. And Matt did something that goes far beyond that. Like I think what he set up is like just just spot on. And for anybody who's having a hard time managing responding to their inquiries, executing that exactly how he shared is, I just think, going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I saw that post you're talking about. I need to talk to Matt actually because I think there's some stuff we could share with each other that would be pretty useful. maybe we can do a 3-way Tint Wiz or something.
We can add as many people on here as possible or as needed. And the other thing is, like, when you just think about how awesome that chatbot is, and then you think about Facebook Messenger ads, and you pair them together, you could run people through an automatic funnel so quickly because it only is requiring 2 pieces. Facebook ads, they go to a Facebook Messenger, that has a chatbot, and at the end of that, you're just going to end up with customers.
Yep, I've done that.
Just run.
Yep.
So freaking Matt's still innovating.
The old man. All right, what other questions we got here?
So Javier asked a little earlier, and Matt just chimed in. He is watching still, and he said he's going to make a video on it real soon. So if you're not subscribed to his channel, you definitely need to get subscribed and hit the notification bell, because that's how you find out when people actually post for the most part. It's that same kind of video distribution thing that goes on, or post distribution. By hitting that notification bell, I mean, just only click that notification bell when you have things that are important to you. And I feel like Patrick's YouTube channel, like, to me, I want to know when they're putting a video up because I enjoy them. Do you have a YouTube channel?
For my shop, yeah. I mean, I have one for my marketing, but there's like one video on it.
So for your shop,
to be honest,
yeah. Tell me more about the shop YouTube channel. Do you post a lot on it? Have you not, or do you plan on it? What's the
I could do a better job. I don't post a lot on it. My community is on Facebook. It's not huge. I got about 12,000 people on my Facebook page that are all very engaged users. I've worked with people who have 20 or 30,000, but yeah, I keep things on Facebook just because I feel like the reason I focused on Facebook instead of spreading myself thin is because everybody has Facebook, right? Your 12-year-old nephew and your 87-year-old grandma, both Facebook, and everybody in between has Facebook. Yeah. So if I'm going to spend my time building a community somewhere and spending my marketing dollars somewhere, I want it to be somewhere that I know I can reach the most amount of people. Because Instagram CPMs, cost per 1,000 impressions, are cheaper than Facebook's, but it only has about half the viewer base. So I'm saving money, but I'm only reaching half the people. I want to reach everybody.
Yeah. Instagram's targeting's not as quite on point. I mean, Facebook definitely has shareability. You think about with Instagram, if you want to share a post, like, what do? You can send it to somebody or you can tag them. Where on Facebook, you could hit share, and with one click, you shared it to all your friends and so on. Like,
right.
Not comparable. So,
yeah, well, just the user base is huge on Facebook, so that's what attracted me to it. Mm-hmm. And that'll switch. I think it's already switching. I think in the next 4 to 5 years, I think we'll have another platform emerge, and it may be Instagram, who knows, but there will be another platform. I think Facebook will age and kind of become somewhat irrelevant for like newer, like right now I talked about earlier, TikTok is obviously, as we all know, the younger generation, but here in 10 years those are going to be our customers. So is it a bad idea to start advertising and posting and getting content and established on TikTok? No, I think you should do that. But just don't expect an ROI on it right now until, it may be 10 years from now. But I mean, if you start now, then you got a nice foundation set for when that user base becomes your customer.
So Heather commented and she said she's selling so many gift cards on Instagram over Facebook. So, not taking away from Instagram in the sense like they're different and people like look to different things. And she just said, you have to post to Facebook stories, add the link to your gift card sales. So like Instagram stories get a great distribution versus posts. And then they just added that gift certificate link feature fairly recently. So that's like what you get from Heather is she's hustling. She's squeezing from all the different, like she's using all the different little things because some people think they're using Instagram because they're posting a picture, but like she's taking advantage of the newer things. And, if Instagram releases a feature like add a gift card to a story, they're going to show stories to people that use that feature
right
versus the ones who didn't. So like they want, you're playing along.
You kind of almost, you have to think about like the platform you're using and you have to kind of reverse engineer like how's this platform benefiting And then how can I play into that strategy? Because obviously they're going to show what benefits them versus what you're paying for or what you're organically posting or whatever. Yeah, so that's cool. I didn't know about that. I hardly ever use Instagram. I'm starting to get more into it.
So earlier, I asked you if you think marketing would ever take the place, of window tinting, and you said that possibly it could. It's maybe where your current passion is. Are you far enough down that thought road of an exit strategy, selling the company, staffing the company in a way that doesn't involve your time, automating it into a way that doesn't involve your time? Where are you with that?
I've considered it enough to have a few options that are open to me. I haven't made any type of moves towards doing that. The people who would be involved in any of those options aren't aware that that's even happening yet. So it's just in my head. But I've thought about it. Yeah.
Because I think like if you can anybody who can afford a potential little down, you have a second income, you have some money saved or whatever. I feel like, there's always that opportunity to take that leap and saying like, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a company that doesn't require me ever to answer a phone. There's not going to be a phone in my business, and you're going to have to schedule yourself, and you're going to only be able to communicate through this way. And this is the only way we're going to market. And like just narrowing it down in a way that probably 99% will work really, really well, but maybe is a little scary because it is a disruption from the normal path of current business.
Right. Well, yeah, there's always that scare. But I think innovation comes from taking risks. Obviously, when 6 years ago, when I rented my current shop, started renting it, I before that I was just doing it out of somebody else's garage. Um, so obviously, if I hadn't taken that risk, I wouldn't be where I am today. And if I hadn't decided I was going to dump a ton of money into Facebook ads and figure it out and buy courses and just learn. I mean, I've spent around 100 grand on Facebook just the ad spend for myself, my own shop.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I hadn't done that and I kept doing Facebook post or not Facebook, Craigslist post to try to get customers and Facebook Marketplace, and you got to take risks or you're not going to go anywhere. So, yeah, to your point, yeah, sometimes it's scary, but you're gonna either you stay stagnant or you take a risk and see what happens.
Yeah. So if we pretend that we just finished this Tint Wisdom and it's now 15 minutes later, is there anything that comes to mind that you feel like you forgot to talk about, or that you wanted to expand on, or you think will be extremely valuable for anybody watching?
Um, use for growing your company and growing your community. That's going to be your most important thing. Growing your community, because the community that you build is going to be the people who are going to keep coming back to you, for free or for cheap. Use the platform that gets the most attention for the lowest cost, to build that community, nurture the community, and take care of them. Don't be afraid to do giveaways and stuff like that. And after all, those are the people that are going to pay your bills. Is those people who are in your community and going to keep coming in and paying you year after year every time they get a new car. Um, I don't know. There's nothing I can think of that I won't think of it until I think of it afterwards.
All right. Well,
But that's the biggest thing is just your community is your lifeblood. So build that.
okay. Cool. Well, please, anything you think of 15 minutes or anytime after, write it down because we could definitely, I'd love to do this again really soon. We can do a wisdom threesome with Matt if he's down. I think he said
Yeah, see if you can do that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, cool. Well, McCoy, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully everybody got some value out of it. And if you didn't, message me and yell at me. Or if you have any questions, message me. I'll try to help you out any way I can.
Cool. McCoy Hawkins, thank you everybody for watching. McCoy, thanks for doing this. We'll be back Thursday, and we'll see you then. Have a great evening, everyone.
Yep, thanks.